Wah wah. Hey everybody. Welcome to Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Of course, I am your host, BMR. Got a great show. Paranormal Paul from Paranormal Amongst Us joins me today. Gonna be a fabulous show. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube. Please subscribe to the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube. And of course, Texas Front Porch Find on YouTube. You can find us on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, KPNL Radio, and wherever podcasts are found. We're going with Spreaker on our podcasts. And if you want to listen in your car, go check it out. All of our shows are now downloaded. Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, Beyond BMR, Texas Front Porch, The Blondes and Booze, Barton Nunnally. And go check it out. It's not video form, but it is podcast form now available on Spreaker, and of course wherever you can find us on your podcasts. If you like what we have going on here, the super chat's open. Yes, the super chat's a great way to help support what we all do around here. Your donations are always appreciated, but not expected. Thank you so much for that. Also, if you want to become a BMR pirate, you can join up. $2.99. That's all it costs. You get a little picture of me with a bandana on. What the hell? Check it on out. Check out our about pages too for what's going on, because we have a lot of things going on, a lot of information on our YouTube pages. In fact, what it talks about is a lot of things like this that we have got going on. As most of you know, we've been advertising this throughout the last couple months. June 7th through the 8th, 2024, the Alabama Bigfoot Conference taking place in Anniston Performing Arts Center. That's right. Speaker lineup goes as follows. The Master of Ceremonies, Tex Wesson. Speakers include Barton Nunnally, Daryl Denton, The Blondes and the Booze, Jason McLean, Greg Ogles, Martin Groves, and of course, yours truly, BMR. On June 7th, we're having a meet and greet, a dinner at a restaurant. That's already booked. It's already booked. Can you believe that? However, we will turn nobody away. You come on down June 7th. You can meet us. We greet with you. We'll chat with you. I love talking to all you folks in chat and all the people that follow the show. So come check that out. It's going to be a fantastic time. The link for the website is found on any one of our channels. I also want to thank everybody that's bought my book, Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1. You can find that on Amazon. The link is posted. It's pinned in this show. You can also find it on my YouTube page if you want to go ahead and buy it. And I have to tell you, if you've bought it, Amazon will come calling. Please leave a review. It's all analytics these days, and it does help promote book sales. And also, Book 2 is already in the works. It's going to be out in spring, this spring, June at the latest. And I got to tell you, everybody, Book 1 is $12.99, which is cheap, right? Costs, distribution, advertising is going up to $15.99 in June, along with Book 2. So if you want to get this one for $3 cheaper, go check it out if you have not already. So thank you for that. Also, one last announcement. You all know that we have shows amongst all of us. Mondays is Texas Front Porch, 9 o'clock in the East. Tuesday, Beyond BMR, 9 o'clock in the East. Wednesday, Barton Nunnally live, 9 o'clock in the East. Always a great show. Thursdays is Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, 1 o'clock in the East. Thursday at night, 9 o'clock, the Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast. They're featuring co-host Josh Turner from PRT all month long. It's been a great show. Last week was a fantastic show. Check that out. If you need more woo with the booze, the Blondes and the Booze are Friday as well, 9 o'clock in the East. Texas got something going on Saturday. Infamous Minds at 6 o'clock in the East. That's true crime. And also, there's a new show out there called Truth or Tinfoil, which is on right before Text at 5. That's Randy. It's Brandy. simulcast on the Truth and Tinfoil YouTube channel. And they simulcast also along on Texas Front Porch. So go give Randy and Brandy some love. They've had about 4 episodes. They're absolutely fantastic. So thank you in advance to everybody for that. As I said, I got a great show. Paranormal Paul, Paranormal Among Us is his new podcast. Is doing quite well. In fact, the link for Paul's show is in this video, and I'm sure that my moderators will drop it when they get to it. And Paul's been looking into the paranormal for a lot of his life. He's looking for answers, just like all of us. So he's got some great stories and some great information to provide for us. So I'm not going to waste any more time with it. Before I bring up Paul, though, what I would like to do is hit up the people in chat really quickly because I'm going to miss you guys, and I'll be talking with Paul, and I don't have a co-host as of yet. Moon at Noon, no. Appalachian Tales of Terror with Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy, what's going on? Great to see you in the chat. Freaky Geek, James Fadke, Kelly Lewis, Diane Boss, Andy Southpaw, Danita Whitston. Who else? We got Scott M, Shelly Montgomery. Who else? Scrolling down. Gary Spike Sr. Hi, Gary. Roger Blair. Andy DeCodes, my buddy from the UK. Go check out Andy DeCodes' channel. He does a fantastic job. Andy DeCodes, that's what it is. That's his channel. Check him out. We need the support of the UK. I got 18% of my viewers are from the UK, by the way. And I have to tell you that my buddy Andy helps me a lot with that. So thanks, Andy. What else? Scrolling down. The Blinds of Booze. Hey, Krista. Krista's working. Wow, there's a lot of you in here. I'm trying to get you all here really quick before we officially get rolling. Freaky, I already saw you. Pamela Stefanich. Love you, Pam. Thanks for coming on in. Moose McGrew. Welcome, Moose. I never hunted moose before. You got to hit me up on that. How's that working out for you? All right, we're to the bottom of the list. They all are going to start coming in. About 28 of you already that piled in. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring up my great guest, Paranormal Paul.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me. It worked out great. I normally work on Thursday, so I had to take my wife to get a little minor surgery, so have the afternoon off. It's awesome.
Well, I'm glad to have you on and fit you into the schedule, and thanks for taking out your part of your day to come on and join us today. And everybody, and you know what? I got Scotty B just came on, Lisa Smith. Hi, everybody. Danny Staten. Danny Staten's going to be on the show next week. South Carolina Cryptids. That'll be a fantastic show. I don't know, Danny. I forgot. It's either going to be on brunch or on the night show. I think it's on the night show beyond BMR. So shout out to Danny. Go check him out too, Danny Staten. So I was talking backstage with Paul, everybody, and everybody knows that the Super Bowl is coming on Sunday, and everybody knows that the Detroit Lions are like, I love the Detroit Lions. I breathe Honolulu blue. And this is our best season since I've been alive.
Mm-hmm.
And again, and he just gave me some bad memories because I almost, Paul, I got to tell you, man, I was not going to watch the Super Bowl. That's how upset I was.
Yeah.
Because those San Francisco 49ers, and I apologize to anybody who lives in the Bay Area, you suck. Mm-hmm. Okay? Want nothing to do with California, especially the 49ers. So it took me a long time to get over it. And so to rub salt into the wound, he had to bring me back to like 1993 or whatever the hell it was.
It's 2006.
When the Detroit I already forgot. 2000. Yeah. The Detroit Tigers, who I've seen them win once World Series, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a great team. We were playing his Cardinals.
That's right.
And we were the better team. And Paul, he's going to disagree. I know he's a fan of his own team, rightfully so. But man, we gave you that World Series. I don't care what you say. We had the best team. We just Error City, man. So that
Yep.
was that. And now my Lions should be playing your Chiefs, who we beat the first game of the year. So
Yeah.
this is the last, and everybody in chat, this is the last time I'm going to vent about my local sports teams. But this guy had to bring it
I had
up.
to bring it up, didn't I? I have a
Sure
hat
did,
that
man.
is the Cardinals and Detroit logo with the World Series 2006 on it.
Hey, Joe said,
But
Farm, how you doing? Yeah.
but
So
you know that was the first time I heard pitcher field position (PFP) in baseball, and I remember bunts or whatever hits back to the pitcher, it would
yeah.
go over the first baseman's head. So it was a fun series. We
Yeah,
won.
well, fun for you, and you won. So
Yeah,
congratulations, way back when. So I gotta look forward to my Tigers this year, and then of course
yeah.
the
The Cardinals
Lions.
keep
Will,
getting older. Actually, we
yeah,
keep
well, you do.
signing older,
Well, yeah,
upper 30-year-old pitchers and stuff. I don't know what the deal is with that.
yeah. I
So
don't know. At least well, we got rid of our general manager, and it's the youth movement. We're
uh-huh.
rebuilding again. We've been rebuilding for a decade, it seems. So, but I sport my tattoo is, of course, you can't see it. Everybody is the old English D.
Detroit.
So yeah, my dad loved
Mhm.
the Tigers, so it's kind of one of the reasons that I got it. He had passed away about 7 years ago,
Yeah.
and and he loved the Tigers, and he saw
Hmm.
the Tigers when they won back in I think it was '67. I th- so they're or one of I think so, their first one, but
I think
I wasn't
they
born.
66 or 68. The
Yeah,
Cardinals beat them again.
yeah,
I can't remember what year though.
yeah.
But yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, and the Cardinals beat them again. Yeah, whatever. So anyway, I'm ready to end this
Sorry.
show right. I'm ready to end this show right now.
The quickest brunch ever.
Yeah, I gobbled that meal down in 2 seconds, boy. So again, hey Roger Blair, good to see you again. Jones said Farm Scotty B. Hey, so all right, we're gonna get off the sports topic. I gotta start a sports channel. I think I don't. I've been starting every show just because of the Lions. So you guys
Yeah,
listening, I'll be done. I'm done with it. So I'm not gonna bore you for those of you that don't like or care about sports. So Paul, you got a new
yes, sir.
podcast,
Yes.
Paranormal Among Us. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Mhm.
However, I'll why don't you for people that have are seeing you for the first time, why don't you give us a little background?
Well, I'm from St. Louis, as you've already established here. Um, I've been doing podcasts for 5 years or so now. I have a broadcasting degree, and I used to work at a grocery store, and now I'm working at a meat market. And I was thinking one day, I would love to do something with this. And podcasting, I was relatively new back then, and they're like, "Hey, what the hell? I'll give it a shot." And I was doing like a personal training podcast, and then I started doing like a sports podcast. And I really thought that like a high school sports podcast here in St. Louis would take off, and because no one else is doing anything like that around here,
Okay, that's awesome.
and it just didn't. So I mean, I don't get it. I tried everything I could, and it just didn't take off. So I gave that up, and I was working with some other guys on things, um, and then I had knee surgery last January, knee replacement surgery, and I'm just laying around. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm gonna start a paranormal podcast. I've been watching paranormal TV shows a lot. Um, for most of my adult life and everything, and I just love the UFO phenomenon and everything. And I was like, what the hell? I'll give this a shot. And it's been almost a year now, and I'm having a blast with it. I'm meeting all kinds of great people along the way, and it's just been a blast. And I never would have thought that this would take off as much as it has, and I'm loving it.
I expect it to really to take off as well. I watched some of your shows. Again, you're in your inception, really.
Mhm.
Hi, Michelle Delaney. Again, I'll say hi to you guys as I can. Talking with Paul here, And yeah, so I think it's gonna take off. Everybody, the link is in this video or in the show. Any of my mods out there, I don't know how many mods I got in here tonight. Drop the link if you would for him. You guys know how to do that. So yeah, so a lot of people like me when I first wanted to get into podcasting, I was
Hmm.
thinking along the line of sports. I was going
Hmm.
to have it more NFL based because that's my bread and butter. That's my favorite sport. And I got into podcasting because I had an encounter. Really, I had
Yeah.
a Bigfoot encounter 2018, and it was traumatic. I didn't know what end was up.
Hmm.
And the basis behind what I did is to help people because I had nowhere to go when I had my encounter. I was lost. I
Right.
was alone. Experienced a tragic death that I associated with Bigfoot. So that's where I was, man. And I was dark. I owned a business. I didn't go to work for 6 months. I had my manager
Hmm.
take care of it. And so that's kind of why I went into podcasting because
Yeah.
number one is this with this genre of Bigfoot, because I started researching all the cryptids and paranormal and everything. Because to me, it
Hmm.
all comes together. It's all related in some way. But I want to give back to what was never given to me, the help. So that's why I do what I do today to help others. Really, is my number one objective here.
Right.
And so with you going into the paranormal field, you tried sports and it didn't work. You did the what were you talking about? Training thing,
Training. Yeah.
whatever. So but most people they don't just say, hey, you usually have some background in something when you start a podcast because you want to know what you're
Hmm.
talking about a little bit and then you learn
Hmm.
and as you go on. So for you, throughout your lifetime, starting from whenever, what certainly you have some experiences to draw on as to why you got involved with this, right?
Um, Personally, I have not really, before starting this, I have not had any experiences
Uh-huh.
that I knew of. And looking back, I think I might have. But my wife had something happen here in the house that, you know, well, it was late at night, and I honestly questioned it when it first happened because it was late at night. I was working overnights at the time. She was putting laundry away, and we have a two-story house. So from the main floor, it goes up a flight of stairs. There's a landing, and then it comes up to the bedrooms and everything. And she was putting stuff away, and she noticed a black figure coming up the steps.
Okay.
Had a black
Your
top hat, black
your
trench
wife.
coat.
Wow.
Yep,
Okay. Okay.
this is my wife. And she didn't really see any facial features or anything. It just kind of came up the steps slowly and then up the second flight, and then it kind of just dissipated. She didn't feel cold or anything. She just kind of, what the hell was that? Um, so I mean, we kind of dubbed it as the Amish guy coming up the steps, and because they had the top hat and long
Mhm.
trench coat and stuff, and we dubbed it that. And every time something odd happened in the house, we would always say it's the Amish guy doing something.
Yeah.
So fast forward to last year, I was doing a show interviewing a medium who had also had a hat man experience, and in his bedroom. And the way he described it was exactly the way my wife described it.
Okay.
So, I took all this stuff in, and, after the show, I went down and talked to her, and like, that guy that you saw, the Amish guy that you saw, that wasn't an Amish guy. That was the Hat Man. And she just looked at me like, what? So yeah, we had the Hat Man here, but luckily, excuse me, luckily, nothing came of it, and he was peaceful and just kind of observed her and then just went on. So that was crazy.
Hang on one second. I'm typing in. Daddy says he found Paranormal Paul's channel, but it's Paranormal Among Us. I can't pull up the link, but I'm going to type it here for everybody. Among Us. There you go,
Here, I
Danny.
could put it in there. Here,
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you
it's,
can. You're not a moderator, and I
oh,
can't
here
do that during the show.
I'm on YouTube.
Yeah. It's called Paranormal Among Us on YouTube. There we go.
There it
Oh,
is.
you got it. Oh, okay,
Got
there
it
it
on
is.
there.
So thanks. So
Um,
you so so it was the Hat Man, the Amish man, as you call it, coming up the stairs, and it was
yeah,
a shadow entity.
shadow entity. She didn't really say if she could see through it or what. Just a black figure coming up the steps, and it didn't do anything to her. It didn't stand there and observe her or anything. It just kind of came up the steps, and I believe it might have just seen her and said, "Whoa, that's not what we want to see." So then we left. And
Mhm.
she left. So
Krista's in the chat. She's at work. Paul, Brandy, and I can do a cleansing if need be. And you guys kind of live in the same state, so I'm sure that they could,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and the reason I bring up, and you mentioned the Hat Man, Tex and the Dark Shadow people.
hmm,
Tex has seen the Hat Man, and Tex's story is that it was by his fireplace, and it looked like the Marlboro Man. It was a
oh
cowboy. It was Sandy kind of hunched over at his fireplace, and he's seen it.
yeah,
And I've had experiences with shadow people.
hmm,
I know I'm going to be on Paranormal Paul's show
yep.
Saturday at is it
8 o'clock,
8 Central,
8 Central, 9 East.
9 East,
Yes,
and I'm not going to give up too much away to do on
yep.
your show, but I experienced shadow people as well. I don't know if you've ever heard the story, and I got to tell you, my shadow people came out of the pitch black darkness.
Ooh,
I was in a dark room, black, just like you're shutting your eyes, and
hmm,
what I saw came out from the depths of the darkness, and it had a
hmm,
humanoid figure to it. Most of the people in my chat room that listen know the story. I'll
yeah,
save it for your show, but I got to tell you what, man, I've seen some things in my life, and that was creepy when black superimposes black.
yeah.
Let me ask you, if you have some time, you investigate the paranormal now. You've
Hmm.
actually have had a few episodes on your show. What do you think these entities, these dark shadow people are? Where do you think they come from?
I have no idea. And I researched when we thought it was the Amish guy. I
Mhm.
researched the area around here, and there really wasn't any. Excuse me. It wasn't really any Amish settlements in South St. Louis County or anything. So um, I don't know what it is. And the medium that I was talking with, we kind of were talking about it, and he said, well, maybe they're just coming here to observe us and I don't know, protect us from something. I don't know if they're protecting or what, but nothing evil happened here. Um, and actually, we had another situation that really kind of freaked me out. You
Mhm.
know how dogs can sense things?
Right, for sure.
We in our basement when we first moved in here, we had wood paneling along the walls in the basement, really ugly and everything. And we would eat down there every now and then, and the dog would just sit there and stare at the wall.
Okay.
And I'm like, what the hell is that dog doing? And every time she was just looking at the same exact spot in the wall. So I'm thinking, and the guy that lived here before was I think off the boat Italian. So I'm thinking maybe he killed somebody and put it in the wall. I mean, nothing stuck or anything. So then I'm thinking, I had no idea what was in there. So we go to remodel the basement, and I am worried sick that I'm going to find something behind that wall as we're taking it. That was the
Right.
last section, and the dog had died by then and everything. So I'm like, here we go. It's gonna come out. There was nothing there. I don't know what she was doing, just staring at that spot in the wall, but I knew the dogs would sense things. There was nothing there unless there was something there before. I don't know, but it was
Wow.
just insulation and everything. So it was crazy.
Really quickly, one of our audience members, Pam was the fan, asked you, Paul, and this is a kind of a great question because I got a follow up. Paul, has your wife had paranormal experiences before?
She has. She and another one here. Um, So her dad died less than a month before our wedding. He had lung cancer. Two stories from this, actually. Um, she one night she was, I guess, putting my son to bed or whatever, and she was backing up or something, and she felt something like she was bumping into somebody. She turned around, there was nobody there. But you know how, well, she sensed that it was her dad, because I guess she kind of smelled his maybe the cigarette smoke or his cologne or something. So that was that experience with that. I mean, nothing happened with that. And then one night, my son was about 2 years old, and all this happened when I wasn't there. So all the fun stuff happens when I'm at work or not around. So they're sitting in our bedroom talking about her dad, and he said, "Oh, you mean the guy sitting over there with the puffer, the cigarette in his mouth?" So, and I heard that kids under 3, 4, whatever, they're so pure that they can see this stuff. So I'm thinking that he doesn't remember that now, but I'm thinking that he saw my father-in-law in the house too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Gwen Hunt, thanks for becoming a BMR pirate. I appreciate that, Gwen. Thank you. It's funny because, and what again, I always say it's funny when I talk, and it's normally not funny. But
Mhm.
you had mentioned though that you personally had never had really any paranormal experiences until, right, until you just kind of started your podcast and kind of diving into this.
Yep.
And I find that to be quite the norm with a lot of people. Not
Mhm.
me. I had my first paranormal experience at 6, and I've had like 20 throughout my life. My first Bigfoot experience was in 2018. So me personally, no, I've always had weird things happen to me. I could go on and on what's happened with me. But I do find this with many people that come on the show or who I just happen to talk to,
Mhm.
that once they start investigating, maybe you become a researcher, investigator, you're out in the field, whether it's a cryptid or the paranormal.
Mhm.
Once they start into this, all of a sudden, it's like things change for a lot of these people. They
Yeah.
have certain experiences that they never had in their entire life. I mean, they could
Mhm.
be 40 years old and decide to pick up paranormal investigations.
Right.
And 6 months into it, things start to happen. So with you, has that happened with you? First part of the question. The second part is, you buy into that theory?
I do. I wholeheartedly do, and it has happened to me. I haven't seen any spirits, but, outside of when you're going downstairs. For some reason, in the basements, every time I'm in a basement, I always feel like I'm being watched or something. Even from when I was a little kid, I would always remember just sprinting up the stairs. But I'm kind of getting that sense now. And I was down there one time, and I smelt my dad's cologne kind of drift by. So yeah, I totally believe that. Um, and then one time I was sitting on the couch watching a football game. I don't remember who it was, but it was Sunday night, I think, some Sunday night. Um, I'm sitting in on the couch. So behind me is a short wall, and then our kitchen's behind me. And my wife was either cleaning up or making dinner on the stove behind us. So, and I watch football by myself. Nobody in the house likes watching football. So I'm sitting on the couch with our two dogs, and all of a sudden I hear somebody whisper, "Oh my God," just like that.
Hmm.
And it wasn't on TV. I know that, because who would say, "Oh my God," like that on TV? And my wife heard it too. And we both almost at the same time turned around and said, "What did you say? Did you say something?" And then when I asked her what she heard, she said she heard somebody say, "Oh my God." So something is opening up here and trying to communicate or something. So I wholeheartedly believe that, researching this stuff and getting into it, that opens you up. And I believe that that's starting to happen with me.
That's again, I will tell you this. It's just really weird because, and I also think that, and I've talked to many people that, yeah, when they start doing something, things happen. And for me, it was a little bit different, but it seems like once I started investigating things, it got more
Mm-hmm.
enhanced, right? When I had my Bigfoot encounter, it seems like from 2018 to current 2024, I'm getting all sorts of paranormal activity. In 2018, I saw Bigfoot. In 2020, I had the craziest ghost experience at my bar that I own.
Really?
It was just, oh yeah, it was terrifying. Well, for me, it wasn't terrifying because prior to prior to that, I saw the Bigfoot, or what I call a demon. Don't really know quite what it was, but I always seen the ghost. I saw my first UFO at 6 or 7. My first ghost is 6 or 7, and throughout my life, I've seen ghosts and these manifestations throughout my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that I started studying it, not having a podcast, Paul, but the more once I started having these experiences, the more I looked into it,
Mm-hmm.
the deeper and the I don't want to use the word darker, but the deeper and the more things that I would come across.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in 2018 I had the cryptid encounter, the paranormal encounter, and in 2020 I had one of the most vivid paranormal experiences I've ever had in my lifetime. And we could talk about this on your show, but I'll give you. You probably want to hear about this really quick, and
Yeah.
a lot of people have heard this before. I bought a bar. I've had a bar for 13 years. I sold it in 2020 pre-COVID. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and my bar was on a location where it was bootlegging was done out of this establishment. So the base, the foundation of the bar had been there
Mm-hmm.
for many, many years prior to my buying it. And it was out of, again, prohibition time, where everyone looked like John Dillinger. The women wore outfits like flappers, the frilly dresses and gowns.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the 13 years, the first 3 years I was at the bar, I had a lot of high turnover at the bar. It was simply because it was a new business, and we made no money for 3 years. I couldn't really pay people. I took over a bar that was just a bar. It was a rough bar prior to my getting it. Okay, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people, a lot of fights, a lot of insanity happened. By my fourth year, it all got cleaned up. So now I got a good staff, which was with me for the next 8 years consistently, and they would always mention to me about how at nighttime they would hear things in the bar. They would hear glasses breaking. There would be clean tables that were all of a sudden had beer bottles on them, shot glasses on them.
Wow.
They would hear whispers.
Mm-hmm.
They always had to check to make sure the bar was clear because there's whispers in the background. There was clanking of glasses. And you see, at this bar, in the basement of this bar is where the office was. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, you shut down. By 3 in the morning, you went down to do your paperwork. And I
Mm-hmm.
had it set up where, you could spend the night, because I set it up with like a bedroom, a community bedroom. Because if you got stuck working till 3:30 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
depending where you live, a lot of the girls especially didn't like to drive home. And yes, I did condone if patrons were to buy the girls a shot. I said yes because let's face it, from a marketing standpoint, got more sales. I said as long
Mm-hmm.
as you don't get wasted, go for it. You know your limitations, right? So you could spend the night and go home in the morning if you chose to do so. But they would tell me these creepy things, and I never experienced it. I normally work from 10 in the morning till 10 at night. And yes, occasionally I would have to close up for vacations and things, but I never really
Yeah.
experienced that. So the one night that I'm closing up the bar, I hear these voices up. I'm in the basement of the bar and I hear these voices. I hear these voices up top. I can't put my finger on what they are. So I go up the stairs, and right at the top of the stairs, I had a square bar, and to the left was a long bar. I had like two bars in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
I get to the top of the stairs, and I don't hear or see anything. All of a sudden, there's the chatter in the background stops. I go, man, that's weird. So what I do though, I make sure all the doors are locked. They're all locked.
Yeah.
I go into my bathrooms, check the bathrooms because once in a while somebody will pass out, and you never know.
Don't want to
So
leave them in
everything.
there.
So for sure. So I go back into the basement, start with my paperwork, and now I hear this chatter and clanking going on again and again and again. And now I'm like, what's going on? Thank you, Catherine Gay, for that. So
Awesome, Catherine.
thank you so much for that. So I go up again, second time to the top of the bar, and now I can see at the end, I have a square bar. On the far end of the bar, there were four apparitions sitting there. On
Wow.
Sitting next to each other were two women, looked like flappers. They had the frilly dress on, from what I can see from the top down. They had like the feathery little bandana on, and there were two guys adjacent to them on the other 90 at the bar, and they looked like they were dressed in those gangster suits, like pinstripe suits. They
Yeah.
had the hats on. Now I gotta tell you guys everything, which I said earlier. This is from This bar has been there since Prohibition during gangster time. Okay, when it was like illegal, like speakeasies. So I see these four apparitions, Paul, and they are transparent. I can see through them to the other side of the bar. I'm not frightened. And again, by this time, I'd seen a lot of things in my lifetime, including the horrific Bigfoot experience. So I'm kind of hardened by seeing things. In fact, I welcome it.
Yeah.
It today, and I'm not as easily frightened as I was maybe when I was 27 years old. So I'm looking, and they're chattering. They're ignoring me. And and they're kibitzing amongst themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I am like, I'm kind of getting irritated that they don't notice me. So I walk up, and I get to the other end of the bar where they're sitting at the other corner, and I take my fist and I pound it down on the bar top to get their attention. I know it sounds nuts, but the state of mind that I was in, I wanted this experience, right?
Right.
They all look at me. These apparitions look at me.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, I got what I wanted. Do I really? What did I get what I bargained for? Right? Now what the hell do I? And here's the weird thing. As I said, each and every night, and we clean off the bar tops. Every table was cleared. The entire bar was cleared. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
By the men, there was a fifth of Jack Daniels, and two shot glasses were in front of them. By the women, two wine glasses and a bottle of wine. And I go,
actual wine glasses and
wine glasses, and two shot, not beer glasses. They were flutes. In fact, they were flutes. For those who know what a flute is, it's like a champagne glass.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. And I know I cleaned up everything. They were not there. So I'm looking now. These apparitions are looking at me. I got their attention. One of the men ghosts is really looking like through me. I'm thinking I could just feel the energy. The shot glass in front of him did have whiskey in it. He put that apparition translucent hand around the shot glass, and I'm thinking, what the hell's going on here? Kid you not, Paul, the shot glass rose about 12, 15 inches from the top of the bar counter.
Wow.
I'm
Did
like,
he throw it at you?
Well, listen to this. I'm thinking, no, wait, there's no way you can drink this. This is an apparition. It's not physical. Sure enough, shot glass slips out of the fingers, hits the top of the bar, and it shattered. Now, let me tell you something about it shattering. Your average bar glass is thick,
Mm-hmm.
they're very hard to break. And from 12 to 15 inches suspended on top of a wood, mind you, it was a wood, a hardwood, but wood, is shattered into like a million pieces. That does not happen. I could take a shot glass and throw it with some force at a cement ground. It's going to break. Yeah, it ain't going to shatter into a million pieces because
Right.
it's such thick glass shatters. Now, all the apparitions, they start fading away, but as they're fading away, they morph and they crumbled into like skeletons and we're gone.
Whoa.
I'm standing there staring at this for like, it had been a minute, man,
Yeah.
trying to process all this. I walked to the far end of the bar. I see the shot glass is broken. I put my fingers into it. It's whiskey. I smell it. It's real glass. The
Mm-hmm.
wine bottle, it's real. And I remember distinctly, and I look back on the shelf because it was a square bar. In the middle of the square bar is where I would have the new bottles of booze,
Mm-hmm.
wine, whatever I had back there. And you know that the Jack Daniels, I can tell it was freshly open, and I know it was not freshly open because the things that are on the back shelf are not open; they're brand new.
Right.
The label of this whiskey bottle, you know how they have the paper that goes up where
Mm-hmm.
if it's ripped, it was ripped. It was whiskey on the bar top,
Wow.
and there was remnants of wine in the wine glasses.
Wow. Did the glasses look like they've been drunk out of? I mean, they had the
I didn't.
trail of the wine going up.
Well, on the one that shattered,
Yeah.
obviously I couldn't see any like prints, and I didn't notice prints. That's a great question. I never really thought to look for prints, which I probably should have, but to my recollection, I don't think there were any prints, man.
Wow.
Yeah, so that is that is my. I've had a lot of ghost encounters,
I love that
and
story. That is
that
awesome.
one that one, we'll do that on your show because I'm sure
Yeah.
you have different people, and my people have heard it a couple times, but it's my favorite ghost story that's ever happened to me.
Damn.
And to this day, I mean, I mean, I tell you what, my Bigfoot encounter was something else, but that was horrific and scary, and I
Yeah.
lost a loved one, so I don't dig that story. But this is probably my number one paranormal
Yeah.
experience that I had.
That's incredible. I mean, wow.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know. I
people have
mean,
told me stories, but I
yeah.
have, I'm like, okay, I take everyone's story for what it is because I never walked in their shoes. I believe if you send me an encounter or a spooky story, I'm gonna
Hmm.
process it. I'll have you on the show or I'll do a video. Because I've had
Right.
things happen to me that sound outrageous. But you know
Right.
what, man? And you know what? I had cameras. I had cameras in my, of course, in the bar.
Yeah.
And I go back and I replay. I look at the video.
Didn't
Nothing
pick up
showed up
anything.
on video. Didn't pick up a damn thing.
Wow. 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 That's incredible.
Danita asked, "Did you leave the whole place?" No, I didn't. I didn't even sell it because of that. Again, I kind of welcome these things now as I'm older.
Yeah.
I ended up selling it though in 2020 because it was right before COVID. I was burnt out 13 years, 80 hours a week. It's time to do something else, right?
Yeah.
So I was just lucky that because in Michigan, the reason I say I'm lucky is because when we had the shutdown or whatever it was here in Michigan, 3,300 bar and restaurant owners went out of business,
Did your old bar?
including my old bar. Yeah,
So you would have lost everything.
I would
Well,
have.
not everything, but you would
Well,
have lost.
I had the building because I owned the
Yeah.
building, but
Yeah.
I'd have lost the business. I mean, it would have been shut. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, in
That-
retrospect, if I had it today, I could have reopened it.
yeah.
I mean, now the guy
But
that I sold to has reopened it, but it doesn't do not. It don't do what I did.
no, no. I mean, yeah, you would have lost a lot of business, in between, COVID and now,
Yeah, well,
for
the thing
sure. Like,
about it too is this is about you, Paul, but I'm getting into and what I was thinking about doing. This happened like I was thinking about reopen. I was thinking about reopening the bar, getting it back, or opening it as the haunted bar, right? That
I
make a
like that
theme
idea.
out of it.
Yeah, I like that
So
idea.
so but yeah. So anyway, I had to tell you that because it resonated what we were talking about and give you some background because
Yeah.
but again, it went back to the original question about 11 minutes ago about how when you have something happen, when you study something, how it comes to fruition a lot more. It's kind of
Mhm.
like do you believe that we can manifest these things? Because I certainly think I can manifest a lot of things if I put my heart and soul into it. What's your thoughts on that?
I think so. After shortly after my parents died, mom was in 13, dad was in 17, and I was always kept thinking they never come and visit. They never show up in my dreams. I never sense them. Shortly after I had that thought, that was when I smelled my dad's cologne in the basement.
Okay.
And that was when I think I dreamt of my mother one time. So I really think, and I've talked to some mediums lately. And for some reason, I'm was fascinated by mediums for like a 2 month stretch. I was just fascinated by it, and they were saying that if you, and more than one of them said this, that if you think about it enough, you could draw them out. So I mean, I've been trying to think of my parents as much as I can. I think about them a lot anyway. And things have happened. I've had smelled my dad's cologne. I've had more dreams of both of them. So yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Hmm.
I think I never until I started getting involved with all this stuff, all this phenomenon. I like you said, you made mention earlier. Now that you've been doing this for a while now, I never thought about things that had happened to me throughout my life
Yeah.
until now. When I go back here in 2024, and I go back as far as I can remember with weird oddities that I've come across.
Hmm.
Now, when I try to reflect back on my past, I can now kind of put the pieces to the puzzle together like they really were something
Hmm.
paranormal or out of this world.
Yeah.
And I think if I had not started doing this, I would just brush it off. And I think a lot of people today that don't watch these podcasts, this is not their bag. I bet you there's more people out there that have had paranormal or supernatural things
Hmm.
happen to them or even walk past Bigfoot. I bet you many people in this chat room and the people that listen later have walked past Bigfoot and not even realized it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And how many times as kids, I mean, even in my old neighborhood, there was a stretch of woods down the street from us. We used to go down there and play all the time. And you walk in the woods, you have this sense that you're being watched or something. I mean, who's to say that you didn't see any or something wasn't watching you? A Bigfoot wasn't watching you. There's real close, maybe 5 miles from here. We're real close to the Mississippi River. And there's a trail that I used to run called Cliff Cave Park. And there's a wooded area there. There's like a 5 mile loop around the thing. And there's woods on there. And I've talked to people who have seen or heard Bigfoot encounters down there. And that's like 5 miles from here. Um, and I've also heard that outside of, and I believe Brandy was talking about this on one of her shows, that by the Arch in St. Louis and further down south, closer to me, there have been UFO sightings in the Mississippi, coming out of the Mississippi and around that area. So, I mean, there's something there, obviously.
There's a couple things I'm going to talk about. Hi, Pammy Smith. Don't apologize. I know it's been a while. Good to see you, Pammy. Um, I want to get into some things you've talked about with maybe some of your podcasts and the weird
Mhm.
encounters, but I also want to talk to you about if you think there's an actual connection with a lot of these things, because you've been around long enough where you have an idea. And also, I'd like to talk a little bit about what you've had, who you've had on your show, and maybe
Mhm.
withdraw on some of their experiences for our people to maybe go out and watch. But we're gonna take the 5 minute break. I gotta let the dog out here, and we'll be back. Everyone, don't go nowhere. There's 43 of you here in chat. Stick around 5 minutes, get a beverage, do what you got to do, let your dog out. But we got a great show with
Yes.
Paranormal Among Us, Paranormal Paul. Subscribe to him.
There we go.
Please do so on YouTube. You guys will enjoy your show, and I will be back. We will be back, I should say, in 5 minutes.
nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Thank you, everybody, for coming on in to Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Got a great show, great guest. Paranormal Paul from Paranormal Among Us joins us. Check out his new podcast. It's fantastic. If you're into the paranormal, that's the place to be. And I want to give a quick shout out and thank you to Gwen Hunt. She is a new BMR pirate. Arr! Thank you to Gwen. If you'd like to join up, become a pirate, of course, the join button is somewhere here in this video on this live show here. Thank you to the fabulous Catherine Gay for your super sticker. Great way to help support what we do around here, and is really greatly appreciated by me and everybody else that I'm associated with here on our podcast. And on our podcast Mondays is Texas Front Porch, 9 o'clock in the East. Tuesday, Beyond BMR with Krista from the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast. Please subscribe. She comes on at 9 in the East. Wednesday, Bart Nunnally live in Humanoids. Thank you, Steven Razors Dark Tales, for the awesome super chat. Thank you so much for that, my friend. Again, Bart Nunnally, 9 o'clock with the Blondes and Booze. Wednesdays live. Also, Thursdays back with the Blondes and Booze. They come on 9 in the East Thursday nights. If you need more woo with the booze, they come on again Friday, 9 o'clock in East as well. In Texas Front Porch, Sundays, Truth or Tinfoil, 5 o'clock in East. That's with Brandy and Randy. Also, Truth or Tinfoil is an actual standalone YouTube channel. Subscribe to them. They simulcast with Tex. And on Sunday, Infamous Minds, that's True Crime with Tex, Sundays, 6 o'clock in the East. Thank you to everybody that's bought my book, Bigfoot Michigan Represents True Cryptid Encounters. Book 1, the link is pinned in this show. It's also found on my YouTube page. If you've bought it already, thank you. Leave a review when Amazon comes calling, because the more reviews I get, it's analytics. They'll push more book sales, and book 2 will be out spring, early summer at best. And don't forget about the Alabama Bigfoot Conference, June 7th and 8th in Anniston, Alabama. Tickets on sale, $30 online, $35 at the door. A lot of great speakers: Bart Nunnally, Martin Groves, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, the Blondes, the Booze, Daryl Denton, Jason McLean, and Greg Ogles. Our master of ceremonies will be Tex. Check us out. We're doing a meet and greet June 7th at a restaurant. It's in the web page. If you go to www.Alabama Bigfoot Conference, that you'll find it. So like to meet you all down there. About 30 people have already RSVP'd. So we already have a great turnout, and I'm looking forward to seeing all you people. And thanks to, once again, I got the best chat room. I tell you what, you guys are fantastic. Showing Paul some love, showing the channels love. Love y'all. And we're going to continue on here. Again, thanks for the super chats. Thanks, Steven. New subscriber, it looks like. Never seen you, Steven. So thank you. Hope you enjoyed the show. And I'm going to bring up a Paul here just for the second half.
Back.
Hey, man, great show. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule, man, to join us.
Sure. Thank you for that quick break. Cup of coffee and another one of these things of water that was building up.
Yeah. Hi, Anita. Hi, Shelly. Yeah, I got to tell you something. I have the 5-minute break, and we usually do that because this also goes on as a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That we got to take out time to do some edits and do some commercials for it. But it just depends if I use it or not. It just depends on how I feel. And being that I did have to let the dog out, he was staring at me with his puppy eyes, so I had to go let him relieve himself. So I like having the 5-minute break, because our man Randy does the editing for us. And if we don't do the break, or if I don't take a 10-second pause, I catch all sorts of hell from Randy.
Got to keep him happy.
Yeah, he does a great job behind the scenes. He's our tech wizard.
Yeah.
So shout out to Randy. And Randy is with Randy on Truth or Tinfoil. And you can see them, as I said, Sundays, 5 in the East. Or I think 5 Central.
5 Central, yeah.
Yeah, so
it's amazing how you guys keep all these shows straight. I have no idea. I'd be lost.
Well, I do have a cheat sheet, but I tell you what, that last one I did it all from memory. I mean, you have it in front of you, so
Yeah,
but yeah,
nice.
it's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up. We do the best we can. So thanks for everybody for coming in.
Yeah.
So we heard a couple of stories with your wife and yourself, and we've talked about your podcast a little bit. We were talking about, everyone. I had to tell you my
Mhm.
story, which, by the way, I'll be on Paul's podcast Saturday.
Saturday night. Yep.
Yeah, so that'll be cool.
Looking forward to that.
And and so it was kind of a two-part question, but the first part is, on your podcast, and again, we're talking about how you start getting involved with these things, how
Right.
things seem to open up. They talk about your third eye, or the pineal gland, or whatever,
Mhm.
because I believe that we have that third factor in
Mhm.
when we're investigating or doing shows like this, that things open up. Now, you've been doing some podcasts. If you've had how many episodes you have out right now?
I believe I just put out number 49.
Oh my lord, 49 already. Well, you guys got to check it out. I didn't know he had that
Yeah.
many. So, are
Yeah.
there any highlights on some of your shows? Which you have any good, cool stories to give our audience a taste of what you do over there?
So early on, I reached out to this guy. I heard a story of this pilot up in Alaska who saw some odd things in the sky flying around, active volcanoes up there. And I reached out to him, and he shared some pictures with me. That you know how when you're flying, and actually how clouds, as they go across the sky, they kind of change shape.
Right.
He was flying, I don't remember, from Anchorage to someplace else, possibly. I can't remember the exact cities. But he was flying either cargo or passengers one time, and he was going past this volcano that had just become active in the last, say, month or so. And as he's approaching this, he looks off to the right, I believe. He sees this cloud it looks like almost a solid white cloud, and then kind of a hoop underneath it.
Mhm.
And as he's flying along, this cloud never changes shape, or this object or whatever never changes shape at all. So he's flying along, and all of a sudden he sees something come out of the side of the volcano. And he has a little picture of that, but the whole time that he's flying along, this cloud never changes shape. So we talked about that, and I'm thinking, maybe that's a portal of some kind, because I've heard that there's possible alien bases inside volcanoes or mountains and stuff, and that could explain the object coming out of the volcano. So fast forward a couple weeks after that, I was watching the TV show Paranormal Caught on Camera, and it was towards the end of the show, and you know how when they kind of recap things that were on stories that they've had, they show little clips of video that they've shown. They showed this exact cloud that he showed me, that he sent me a picture of. I'm like, whoa.
Mhm.
So I quick rewound it. Thank God for DVRs. I rewound it and I watched the story. It was from this guy in England who had the exact same thing happen to him. So I took a screenshot of the picture, sent it to the guy up in Alaska, and I said, I just saw this on TV, and some of their experts called it a portal that they saw in the sky. I can't remember the exact phrasing that they said, but it was a possible portal. And if you looked at the picture, and I don't have the picture on me now,
Okay.
you could see a little in the hoop, kind of like a black object in there a little bit.
Okay.
So was that a portal? I mean, could be. Very interesting stuff. And this guy's been flying for years up there, and he's been on other TV shows with the same story on it, and the stories never change. So to me, when someone's repeating these same stories, they never change. That to me, has my trust. I believe wholeheartedly that he saw what he saw, and this is all true what he saw.
You know, you'll find the more you do this too, and
Mhm.
you're pretty have a good feel for it already. I find, because I feel many stories that I do in a video from encounters. A lot of them are in the book and or
Mhm.
guests that I have on. But some of these same people, the people that tend to say the same things over and over again, and it's always word for word, or they mix up the words here and there. I get that.
Yeah.
Those, I mean, people, you can tell when somebody's, giving a line of BS because they're all
Mhm.
over the place. You
Yeah.
might hear them on show A, but on show
Mhm.
B, it's different. And again, like I always say, the biggest fault that I have is I get stories and I put them out there. I do vet them to an extent,
Mhm.
but again, when I never walked in someone's shoes, I just don't call them, well, this is so far fetched that it
Right.
can't be true. Because again, my bar story, absolutely true. I say it the same time every time. You know why? Because I
Mhm.
visualized it in my mind because I saw it when I
Yeah.
had my Bigfoot encounter, man. It's
Mhm.
never changed. Maybe I might say the sky was blue or overcast, but it was blue.
Right.
I don't take it to that extreme. So for me and for you, when I talk to people, yeah, I give them the benefit of the doubt. But some of the people that we hear a lot of times with their fascinating stories, it gives you a good feeling. You know what also gives me a good feeling about things that resonates and
Mhm.
gives credibility is I did a video on a dog man in
Mhm.
Indiana State Park where their government was involved. There was hush money involved. There was a conspiracy. And I did that video and I also put it in my book. And this story was really cool. I believed the person. I spoke with him a couple times. But what was great for me was the validation that when I did the video, Paul, I had at least 15 people comment back or send me an email. Hey, Rob, that story you did, oh my God, Dogman is there.
Yeah.
Yes, the government has paid people off, not that just story you did, but other ones. And in
Mhm.
the book, since I wrote the book, I get a lot of comments on the book where Rob, yes, I know where you're coming from about that area. That happened to my neighbor. That
Mhm.
happened to me. Thank you so much for doing that. So it's very rewarding when we do shows like this and
Exactly.
we put out material where people can collaborate or corroborate the proper
Mhm.
word on these things. That's why I enjoy doing this so much because I know most stuff I put is as true as they can be without any flim flam, if you will.
Right. And also a safe place for people to tell their stories and experiences. I mean, we're not here to make fun of anybody.
Oh, for sure.
Not at all. And anybody in chat that would make fun of somebody, they get booted.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is a safe place for that. And that's kind of what my goal is too. I mean, if somebody has a story that they want to get off their chest, you know, it's a safe place. Come and find me, or I'll find you.
You
Um,
know,
it's just, to me, it's fascinating. It's just incredible. I love hearing all these stories.
and I do too. And I gotta tell you, and I say this over and over again. Back in 2022, I think it was when I started doing this.
Hmm.
It came from me. It came from a place of my heart because, again, not to reiterate, the reason I did this to help people because I had no one help me, man. I went sick. I was lost alone in a dark area for 6 months,
Yeah.
and no one helped me. I mean, people did, but people were fake. And so I found the right people. And when you find the right people, you could tell who's giving
Yeah.
you a story or where someone takes you seriously. Because I got to tell you, man, when I had my encounter, the first thing people told me is therapy if you talk about it. So I did a video. And here's the thing: the first hoop I had to get through, Paul, was yeah, but my story, although it happened, it's for real, 1,000%. I'll go
Hmm.
to the grave with my story. It happened to me.
Hmm.
It still is such a story that, wow, I can see where people would, oh, really? I mean, I don't know about that, Rob. Did that really happen? And number today, I don't give a care what anyone says, and
Yeah.
I've never really gotten any negativity toward it, which is what I like. So
Hmm.
so again, but more importantly, this is a safe spot for people to come. If anybody has an encounter story, send it
Yeah,
to me,
exactly.
and I'm gonna put it out there because
Yeah.
again, for me it's therapeutic to talk about. I've talked about my encounter 1,000 times, and every
Hmm.
time I talk about my encounter, you know what? I feel better because I'm getting something
Yeah.
off my chest that was both traumatic and in a weird way now it's come full circle. 6 years later, I have no problem telling it because people need to hear the story. And
Hmm.
everybody's story needs to be heard. Are there ones that are going to be made up and phony baloney? Absolutely, they are. I mean, nothing's, but you know what? Like you said, when it's repetitive and they
Hmm.
stay in sync with what they're
Hmm.
saying. Yeah, I believe it. So I give the people the benefit of the doubt with that.
And I've had Matt Emsch on my show. His
Yeah.
story
Mm.
was
Oh, incredible
frightening,
story. Frightening
and I mean, it
story.
was exactly the same that you hear everywhere else. Um, Ernie Davio that we interviewed on Blondes and the
Yeah.
Booze, he was on my show, and you talk about a fascinating story. Um, I'm
In
trying to
fact,
think.
me and you co-hosted that. Didn't we
Yeah,
fill in for the booze for that one?
when
Yeah.
Krista and Brandy were
Yeah.
in Texas, yeah, they
Ernie
didn't invite us
Davio.
to go to Texas, but
Yeah.
they,
Well, of course. Well, I'd pick them over me or you to, invite,
yeah, that's true. but yeah, and times when I don't have guests, I just I'll read stories, and I just did a couple on top haunted sites in Missouri, and I just did one the other day that was top haunted sites in Illinois,
Well,
and those are just fun for me to
yeah.
research and hopefully
So,
to visit one time.
okay, this is kind of cool. So you're talking about you did some research on in Missouri, some haunted sites.
Missouri and
It's
Illinois.
pretty Missouri and Illinois. Okay, I'm familiar with Illinois. I lived in Rockford, Illinois,
So did
and
I.
again, oh, you did. I had some weird stuff happen to me in Rockford, but I'm really interested because I'm going to be bugging Krista to no end because when I go to Alabama, the conference is a Friday and Saturday, so I'm going to be at Krista's house bright and early Thursday. So we got the whole day together Thursday. And then she's got me Monday when I fly home.
Hmm.
Missouri. What?
What
See,
was
that's
that?
weird. I don't know. See, you know what? That is weird. What the
How
hell
did
was
that
that?
come out?
How did that just happen?
So okay, so I had this on the show that I interviewed Kristen Brandy on
Yeah.
my show. I was sitting here somehow with my finger. I think I had a pen in my hand, and
Look, it
see,
happened again.
it's a Mac thing where if you do this, you're gonna see
Okay.
thumbs up come out here in just a second.
Okay.
No, maybe not. But then if you do this,
Okay. So that is a
okay,
computer
there you go.
iteration.
Computer
Oh,
iteration. I don't know where the thumbs down came from.
look at you just got the so that is a Mac. Okay.
Yeah, that's a
So
Mac thing.
we thought it was like some sort of supernatural thing. This just happened to us like last month, me and Brandy,
Yeah,
or it might have been Krista.
yeah.
And we thought, wow, how
When we were
freaky
on the
was
show,
that?
no one knew anything about that, and it popped up, and Chris was like, "Did somebody see that?" And I didn't do it, and I asked them
Yeah.
if they did it, and I had all the controls on my end, so they wouldn't have seen it or done it. So I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, Danny
And the
Stanton
thumbs
remembers
down, I
that.
don't know how that happened either.
Yeah, because who goes, I would never do a thumbs down. Come on.
No.
Although
No.
I'll take a thumbs down because it helps the analytics. So getting back to Tom, I'll be spending some time with Krista in Missouri. And
Mhm,
you said you're looking into the spooky things that happen in Missouri. So what can
mhm.
you tell us spooky or creepy or paranormal about Missouri?
So of course, somebody mentioned in the chat that we have the Exorcist house here.
Okay.
It's an actual house in St. Louis. I don't believe it's open to the public anymore. Um, but I mean, other ghost adventures and people have gone through there. Let's see. There's a place called Zombie Road here in Missouri that's supposedly haunted by Indians, I believe. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been a while. Um, Some other great ones, Lemp Mansion here in St. Louis. There's a huge story about the Lemp dynasty was brewery here in St. Louis, and from the house to the actual brewery itself, there was underground tunnels, and all that's haunted. There was murders, suicides in that mansion. Now
Let
it's
me-
a go ahead.
No, go ahead. To continue. Finish up. Because I got something for you.
It's a bed and breakfast now, and people can obviously spend the night. And my cousin spent the night one time, and she's sleeping in there, and she could hear footsteps. There's nobody else in the house. She heard footsteps in the hall and upstairs, and someone was pulling on her feet in the middle of the night. So there's that. That's downtown. I know exactly where that's at.
Okay. Hey, let me ask you, because do you know you have in depth? You have a little bit of background on Zombie Road that you can
Little
share.
bit. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that because you know why? Krista won't care because she sent me this and we've brought this up once. Krista sent me a picture from Zombie Road. Okay, and I'm gonna bring
I know
this
what
up.
this picture is because she sent it to
Probably
me.
do, and then you can, and when I pull it up, and then I'll bring it down. You can talk a little bit about it because I got to tell you something.
Yep.
Look at that.
So, and you can see in the water down on the bottom, there's no reflection,
shadow.
no shadows down there. So, and I'm looking it up here.
Okay.
So I don't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Take a couple minutes. I'll tell everybody. Like this is Krista sent me this. This is Zombie Road in Missouri, and if you look at this picture, everybody, look at there's all these figures back there, and I tell you what, Krista is not a big believer when it comes to a picture. If she don't believe it, she does not put it out there.
Right.
And if you look at this, there's like what 8, 10 weird looking figures, right? They look like they all have heads. They look like people or
you don't see any
hominids.
arms though.
You don't see arms. You don't see again, and you can see. Hey, listen, with this picture, you can see in the background. I guess that's the sun or the moon in the background, and it's reflected into the water, and so are the trees. Everything is showing a reflection and cast into that water, except for what? The lineup of all of these entities. That is freaky.
It is.
Freaky.
It is known as Lawler Ford Road, and it runs for about almost a little over 3.5 miles, winding through a valley of Forest Oak Hills, and it concludes near the Merrimack River in Glencoe, Missouri. I'm not exactly sure where that's at, but it's close to St. Louis. Let's see here. The site of one of the largest Native American burial grounds in the country. Legends passed around for years speak of American Indians, Confederate rebels, packs of child ghosts and tortured souls, and working men killed in industrial accidents. So a lot happened there. It was used by the Army during the Civil War. Yeah. So if you come to St. Louis, yeah, let me know. We'll go there.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll be going to I'll be direct. Listen to this, everybody. So I'm going to the Alabama Bigfoot Conference June 7th and 8th. I'm going to be at Chris's house early on the 6th. Do you know? Because I got to tell you guys, all of us, we don't have money to blow or throw around. So when I first started getting my plane ticket, Paul, it was like $800, to fly to Alabama.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me a break. So I started trying to find the cheapest one. So I found one for like around $300. But for me, if I were to fly, this is just flying to St. Louis. For me to fly, it's a 2-hour flight. It's less than 2 hours for me to fly from here to St. Louis. However, to get that $300 deal, I've got to be on 3 planes. It's going to take me 6 hours to fly from Michigan to St. Louis. Ain't that a crock of crap?
Yeah. Yeah. I used to be a travel agent too. And,
oh, man,
looking at airlines and stuff, I mean, just to go from, like I said, Detroit to St. Louis, you go, Detroit, New York, Atlanta, someplace else and then here. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's almost
So
easier to drive.
so anyway, not talking about airline. It is what it is, but yeah, but she
Whole
was
different
telling me
subject.
about that, but a whole different topic. I'm just venting on that one a little bit, but it's okay. I mean, it is what it is, and
Yeah.
I don't mind flying. But so St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah, that's. I've also heard that you got the Ozark Mountains. Is that correct? Is that
Yes.
and now
Down in the
that
southwest.
now what can you talk to us about that? Because I understand there's all sorts of everything going on there.
Yeah, there's a city in Missouri called Piedmont, Missouri, which there's a lake there called Clearwater Lake, and
Okay.
that is supposedly home to alien bases underwater. They recently named that the UFO capital of the Midwest, I believe. So that's kind of built up like almost like Roswell is now. And there was an actual alien crash site in Cape Girardeau, which is supposedly bigger than Roswell incident, but you never hear about that. The Ozarks, I really didn't research much into the Ozarks, but there's a place that I'm going in June or July. I can't remember which it is. I think it's July. Called in Brumley, Missouri. It's called the Haunted Castle House. And there's a big old house there that's haunted. A couple murders and suicides there. And the grounds are haunted. There's a cemetery attached to it. That's going to be fun. I can't wait to show some of the pictures and hopefully get some evidence there and have fun with that.
Let me ask you this: what's your thoughts on this? Everyone has an opinion on this, and again, you're into the paranormal, the research, and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe in? Okay, what's your thoughts on the spirit world? Do you believe that there's life after, or do you believe that we are connected with certain apparitions, maybe a loved one? Because I've had a lot of experiences with the passing of my father.
Mm-hmm.
It comes to me in spiritual form sometimes. It doesn't show him as an entity. But again, when we talk about manifestation, I sometimes pray to him and reach out to him, and sometimes he gives me clues and he gives me advice in a weird way. Not telecommunications or telepathy, but just the clues that I know are from him. Do you believe in that sort of thing? Have you had any experiences with that in your lifetime?
100% I do. They're always with me. My loved ones that have passed, they're always around, and I always feel protected by them. I'm not a handy person at all. I can't look at pieces of wood and say, oh, I'm going to build a dresser and just boom, 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 do it or whatever, or fix a car or anything. So I'm a couple times I'm trying to fix something and I just get so frustrated because I can't get it. And my grandpa used to own a place called Wise Speed Shop. He sold race car parts and everything, and he could fix anything. And that obviously didn't come down to me. So if I'm stuck on something like that, I'll stop and say, okay, Grandpa, what do I need to do? I need to figure this out. What do I need to do? And I would stop for a few minutes, maybe walk away, and then all of a sudden, boom, it would hit me. Oh, slot A goes into slot C, not B, something like that. And I would go back and lo and behold, it would work. So yeah, I think he's there somewhere feeding me instructions, helping me out to fix this. And like I said before, I've sensed my dad in the basement, his cologne drifting by me or something,
Yeah.
and my wife, her dad, and everything. But yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that there is life after death, and they're around us. And when I go, I fully plan on haunting some people.
Oh well, yeah. Well, hunt. Yeah. Well, that's. I will. How should I say? I'd like to. I don't have too many enemies, but there's some people I like to haunt. I gotta tell you, I believe in this. I believe in it too, and I gotta tell you, it was weird because, and the reason I bring up this story is what you just said about your what you just said resonates with me a little bit because I'm not the most mechanically inclined guy either. I mean, my
Mhm.
dad was a machine repairman, and he could make, and part of his job at the job, if they didn't have parts to fix the machinery, if there was nothing in stock, my dad was smart enough and could whip up. He could go make a part.
Mhm.
You know, he could think. He could get it together. He could actually make something to adequately run the machinery until they got the actual part in, right? But he's always been handy, always handy man. BMR ain't so handy. I have to admit it. This has nothing to do with handiness, but it has to do about well, my dad died. My dad died 6, 7 years ago, and it was really the first death. You know, my girlfriend died, of course, and
Mhm.
but yeah, but she was I was dating for a couple of years, but my dad, first blood relative, my dad. So I didn't
Yeah.
know how to handle that. I was like, boy. So I would always like pray to my dad every night. Hey, dad, can you come into my dreams? Can you show yourself to me like a ghost? You're not going to scare me. That never happened, for a long time. So I started getting a little, yeah, oh wow, there's
Mhm.
nothing to this. But I think everybody goes through that, right? We all go through it.
Yeah.
So I kind of about 3, 4 years go by, and my dad, a veteran, always he would always fly the American flag, right, at the
Mhm.
house. And my mom calls me up one day, "Hey, Robbie, can you come over and put up the American flag, Daddy's flag?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah," which I'd been doing anyway, and it was his. He did it Memorial Weekend, and we fly it through 4th of July. My dad, again, he manufactured how to secure the flag on the front porch. It wasn't
Mhm.
something you could buy at the store. He made this up. And on the top of our porch it was a big porch of my parents' house. It was a stone, it's a stone porch and a lot of grooves and crevices in it. And in front of it's a lot of shrubbery. So
Mhm.
if you drop something, it's damn near hard or impossible to find. And my dad, for whatever reason, he manufactured the screw to secure the flag. It was so small and microscopic, yet it did the trick to hold the flag. How he did this, it's all he needed, and boom. I mean, and I did it every year, but it's so small, man, that if you drop it on that porch or into the shrubbery, you're never gonna
You're not
find
gonna
it.
find it.
So I go to my mom's house. I'm putting up the flag. About 3 or 4 years after he passed away, and I'm up there and I get ready to position the screw to put into the flag. Well,
Mhm.
I drop the screw, man. I drop it. I'm on my hands and knees on the front porch looking for this screw. Can't find it. Not gonna find it. I even went down into the shrubbery and got in between the porch and the shrubbery looking for this screw, which I know in my mind of mine, my heart of hearts, I'm not finding it. It's like dropping a needle in a haystack.
Mhm.
But I spent like 2 hours, man, looking for this because I want to do this for my dad, right? I don't want to buy nothing new. It was his original stuff. 2 hours go by. I'm frustrated. I go in the basement of my mom's house, and I literally am sitting in his favorite lounging chair, and I start kind of to cry a little bit. Dad, Dad. I leave. I get in my car, and I go to the hardware store, and I'm trying to find anything that's close to this screw. And as you well know, I don't find it. I don't find no screw. Dejectedly, I go back home. I go in the basement again, sit down. Dad, man, I tell you this, I'm gonna have to redo your whole setup. I said, Dad, I'm gonna give it one more college try. If you're around,
Mhm.
give me a sign. Give me a sign, man. Go up the porch, walk onto the porch toward where I'm to post the flag. I look down and I see this glint. I see this reflection of something.
Mhm.
My heart starts racing, man. I'm like, this has got to be the screw. This I know it's a screw in my head. I know it's a screw. I have to get on my hands and knees now. That's how small it is.
Mm-hmm.
Get on the hands and knees, look down, Paul, and sure enough, the screw that I should not have found at all,
Uh-huh.
not even on the porch, not in the shrubbery, should not have found it. I found it, secured the flag post.
Mm-hmm.
That's the day that I knew that my dad was there.
Yeah.
You know,
And he might not have put it right where you can see it, but he directed you right
he
to where it
directed
was.
me. Yeah.
I wholeheartedly
So,
believe that. Yep.
man, that was again another one of those things where
Mm-hmm.
if you have doubts, that's why I don't doubt things no more today, man. I believe
Yeah.
what people tell me, man. I take to heart, man,
Yeah.
and I just have an open mind to everything today when it comes
Yeah.
to cryptids, the paranormal, everything else. Is there anything you want to leave with? Because we're coming up on our time. Any
I
stories you
got
want to get with,
I
or
got
you got?
one quick short story that I want to
Yeah,
share.
let's do it. Let's do it.
A friend of mine, his dad died 3 weeks ago or so. I don't remember exactly when. So, and his funeral was on a Friday, I believe. So my wife was sick. My wife and son were sick with COVID, and I was going to go by myself. So took my shower. I'm getting dressed, and I opened the door to my closet, and I'm standing there trying to figure out what to wear. So I'm kind of looking in my closet, and I have a shelf that has shoes on it, and right in the middle is a pair of golf shoes. For some reason, I haven't played golf in years. For some reason, I'm looking at these pair of shoes. I never do. I open this closet door all the time. I see them all the time. I never stop and stare at them. So I'm looking at them like, maybe I should throw those away. But I linger on them for about a minute or so. So I get dressed and I go to the funeral, and it was my friend and his brother, the only two siblings. And they get up and they start telling stories about their dad. And the first brother, the older brother, he was more serious stories. And then my friend Pat gets up there and he's telling the story about how his dad finds things and he never throws anything away. And then he goes into a story about finding a pair of golf shoes.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there, I was getting kind of teary-eyed thinking, my parents and now his parents are both gone. And I'm kind of thinking about this and I'm like, okay, this is pretty sad. Then I hear that. I almost jumped up and I'm like, what the hell did you just say? And he goes on this whole story about his finding golf shoes that his dad never wants to throw away. I don't remember what was said the rest of the day. I'm like, what happened? So
Yeah.
something in my head saw my golf shoes and I was staring at it, and then the story there. I don't think that was just too weird to me. Something, yeah.
That is weird, man. And oh, geez. Now, where do you place that? Right? I mean, that's
Yeah. What do you do with that?
I don't know. There's so many things that I don't know what to do with. What am I supposed to do with my hands? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
This
that was the last thing that really happened to me that
yeah,
I can't, I have no explanation for.
yeah. I got a lot of things that have no explanation for. I've talked about them a lot on my show a
Mhm.
little bit, and certainly I got a lot of cool stuff for you. I'll be on your show Saturday. And
Saturday
what's
night.
up? Where can we find you? What do you got going on? You got any social media or anything that you can pass along to everybody?
Yeah, if you look on Paranormal Among Us podcast on Facebook, I'm on there. I unfortunately don't have a link to it right now.
Yeah.
But I'm on there. I'm on that's really it. I don't do Instagram too much. Every now and then I'll share it on Instagram and TikTok, but it's mostly Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, I'll be out against and you're on what are you do you have a specific when you do your shows, what day is your shows on? People
I'm
can get
I'm
kind of an idea. Or is
I'm
it not is
trying
it up in
to
the air?
it's up in the air.
Okay.
I've been doing Tuesdays. I might try and settle in on a Saturday night.
Mhm.
But then So I have you this coming Saturday. I also have Barton Nunley coming on next
Another
Tuesday.
great guy.
So yeah,
So you got
I'm-
There's
yeah.
two good shows right there. I'm not tooting my own horn, but you'll get some traffic.
yeah. So yeah,
Bart,
keep
of
a lookout
course
for
you
that.
will.
But yeah, it's I've been having a blast doing this, and you meet a ton of great people. So
Yep. No, you do. I love doing this. I love my audience, the people in chat, the people listen later, because without the people in chat that I respect and love, I wouldn't be doing this, because I do that for them, and they keep me going. If I don't have good ratings, why bother, right? I mean, you can sit
Exactly.
there because you love it. I love doing this, but I like to provide the stories, the information to the people that seek it, right? That's number one job here. And Thursday, let's see, today is so it's the end of the week for me. Thursday, I guess I booked through February. Everybody, we got a lot of alien, paranormal, and cryptid shows coming up.
Nice.
Fantastic. Daddy Staten, who's my moderator, and he's got lots of creepy stuff. He's coming up, I think, on the 13th. I think the nighttime show, and I got a whole bunch of other great guests coming on as well. So I'm packed for February. So everybody tune in, subscribe to Bigfoot Mystery Rob on YouTube, Paranormal Among Us, the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast, Barton Nunnally, Texas Front Porch, all great shows. Love you all. Thanks for coming on, and thank you for Paul. With that being said, until next time, BMR, and I'm out.
Are you ready?
Go Lions.